purpose. Okay. So again, what is a scientific paper? So a scientific paper is a written and published report describing original research results. And usually it can be extracted from your thesis. Yeah. So thesis, of course, is more comprehensive. So based on the thesis, written thesis, you can extract whether you have to evaluate whether how much the results that you can extract from thesis to be published. Scientific papers provide a method for scientists to communicate with other scientists about the results of their research. Definitely, okay? This is a way of communicating between the scientists, okay? As for me to know scientists in countries like it's difficult for us to communicate even with emails, okay? Most of us do not have time to answer email properly. Okay, you cannot write so many words in email. So reading their reports is the best solution to sort of discuss, to understand what the other researchers are doing. Okay, so the standard format is used to write scientific paper to ensure that author present the research in an orderly and logical manner. So for those scientists, we understand what should be in the scientific paper. It's like a common content that should be there. Okay, so let's say I'm searching for a new method that I find it interesting. So whenever that I have papers from some researchers that I really admire, for example, then I know which part I want to look at in the scientific paper. So that's why it's actually following a standard format. Okay, so these are standard formats: title, authors and affiliation, abstract, introduction, methods, result discussion, acknowledgement, and references. Okay, so experimental process. Okay, what did I do in a nutshell? What is the problem? How did I solve the problem? Okay, this one we have discussed so many times. So I think we just skip this. But what is actually, okay, this one again is section of papers in scientific, what components of scientific papers, okay, sorry. So title, let's talk about title. Okay, this is very important. When we talk about publishing, title is very important. If it is thesis, the title, of course, must represent the research, the whole research that you have done. Okay, it must try your best to represent everything. But for scientific writing, in order to be accepted, in order for your paper to be accepted, to be published, you must be able to write a catchy title. Okay, what does it mean catchy is it should be showing the novelty, the interesting, what are the interesting new things that it is in your paper that you would like to highlight. So that's why now, when I did my PhD in 2000, I finished in 2002. So it was not that difficult to publish. Okay, but nowadays it's very competitive. So when writing a title, you need to sit down, think about it, take 1 or 2 days. You keep editing the title, so that is very catchy and it's very eye-opening. Okay, sort of that sort of things. Yeah. So make your title specific enough to describe the contents of the paper, but not so technical that only specialists will understand. Okay, the title usually describes the subject matter of the article. The title should be centered at the top. Okay, this one is format, depends on the journal, the one that you choose. Okay, author and affiliation. The person who did the work and wrote the paper generally listed as the first author. Other people who made substantial contribution towards the work are also listed as authors. Okay, this one also can be relative. Okay, can be relative. The best, I think, again, is to discuss among the researchers or among the co-authors. And if you are the one who wrote the journal, the scientific paper, then of course you are the first author. And then the rest of the names, you have to think about the contributions. So the orders of the names are based on the contributions. But sometimes, I don't know, that's the way in Western countries. Usually what they did is, for example, the supervisor's name or the primary researchers, usually they put their names at the end. Okay, that's how Westerners did it. So I don't know, it's not similar in Malaysia. Some Malaysian follow Westerners. So whenever that you see papers, you can see the old professor's name is usually at the end of the series of names, authors. So abstracts, okay, what is the objective of the study? Of course, how the study was done, what results were obtained, and the significance of results. So, or in short, in abstract, you should have a very short introduction, okay, very short introduction, including the objective, of course, and the method itself, how the study is actually the method, of course, in very short, precise, okay, sentences. What results? Of course, the significant results only. You cannot tell all results in abstract. And the significance. And significance is actually the conclusion. So in abstract, it contains everything: introduction, method, results, and conclusion. Okay. So remember, an abstract summarized in one paragraph usually. Of course, in scientific paper, is usually one paragraph. Yeah. Okay, use the active voice, but much, okay, this one, but complete sentences and get to the point. Of course, this one is relative, it's not always this style, okay. The abstract should not contain lengthy background information. Of course, you cannot have too much introduction, references. No, there's no references in citations in abstract. Abbreviations, okay, of course, all abbreviations has to be spelled out, or figures. There shouldn't be any figures, tables in abstract. Yeah. So abstract by definition must be written last. Okay, that's why usually when I read thesis of my students, I will of course read everything, do all the corrections first, and then in the end, we write the abstract. Yeah? So that's why, because abstract is sort of a summary to all, summary of the paper as well as summary of the thesis. Yeah. Okay, this one is skills of writing. Introduction. Okay, so introduction, we have also talked about this. What should be in introduction? So if it is a small parts of your thesis that you want to write for the journal, then you should have sort of miniaturize miniaturize the thesis. Yeah? So whatever statement of problem, whatever background, studies, objective, and then your hypothesis for that particular scope should be in your introduction of the scientific paper. So as I said, this sort of miniaturized introduction from your thesis. Yeah? That suits the scope. Okay, this one, what was I studying? What was it? This one we have discussed so many times, just is similar to thesis. Right. Okay. Again, introduction is talking about the problem. Okay, I think we should skip this. We have done this so many times. Okay, so for results, should clearly describe what was found and not require the reader to interpret data from figures and tables. Results include only summarized data and observations obtained in the study. Do not present raw data. Okay, this one I will show example so that you know how it looks like, but most of you has read journals, I'm sure. So discussion, of course, results comes with discussion. Suggest theoretical implications, okay? Finding the other situation or other species, give the big picture, all right? These are good tips. More from specific to general, okay? Don't overgeneralize. Don't ignore deviations. Avoid speculation. I think we have learned about how I've shown you the example for thesis. So actually that's the way that we write scientific papers as well, but in a simpler way, because for thesis, it has to be very comprehensive, very detailed. But for journal, you can reduce a lot because you have limited pages. Okay. So acknowledgement is very important because if you receive support in terms of money, grants, or you actually seek advice, okay, services from certain labs or certain institutions, so please at least give acknowledgement if you do not want to put their names in the authors list of authors. Yeah? References, I think, again, if you have to use software, proper software. Okay, this one, all right. So let's look at the example. So I'm giving you different types of example. One is we start with review paper. Okay, let's start with review paper. Let me open one. So scientific writing can be review paper as well as working paper. I call it working paper. Working paper means that is writing about your scientific achievement. I'm not really good in maneuvering. All right. Okay. I hope that you can see, even though it's quite small. Okay. So this one is one of my favorite researcher from Germany. Where is it? Just a moment. I forgot to close the slide before. All right. So you can see, where is the title? Okay, I hope that you can see integrated devices for non-invasive diagnostic. Yeah, so this is an example of a very good review paper. Okay, I hope this is much better. So the review is on integrated devices. He focused on devices for non-invasive. Yeah? Non-invasive means that you don't have to withdraw blood, you don't have to take samples from nose, from throat. Yeah? So it is actually non-invasive. For example, the smartwatch that you wear and can detect your vitals. Okay, so you can see that the series of names here. So as I said, the Westerners prefer the main supervisor to be in the end. So you can see it's the main researcher here is Ken Dinser. So since they are very good, of course, in English, so you can see that for abstract for review is not similar to abstract for scientific paper. Okay, it's more like a story. So you can see that based on this title, let's look at the abstract, sample in and sample in, answer out. Okay, so I've never like tried to write abstract by using these kind of words. Yeah? Integrated diagnostic devices have been widely recognized as the ultimate solution to simply testing across healthcare system. But of course, in this case, we can consider this sentence as introduction, yeah? Telling about the issues. Such systems are equipped with blah, blah, blah. So in this regard, the combination of integrated devices, because this is the title of the review paper, and non-invasive sampling has gained a substantial interest to further improve the comfort and safety of patients. So I think that's sort of justify why he wants to write a review on integrated devices. Okay, so in this review, so now he's telling what is actually inside this review paper. In this review, the pioneering developments in integrated diagnostic are covered, and their potential in non-invasive sampling is discussed. So we should be able to find this information from this paper. So the key properties of possible sample types are highlighted by addressing their relevance, blah, blah, blah. Last, the factors affected. Okay, this also what should be expected inside the review published here. Okay, again, even with review paper, okay, so writing review paper, we have actually discussed similar to writing literature review for your thesis, but now you have to, for review paper, you sort of, if it is for thesis, we have to put so many things because based on what the research, what is related to the research, okay? So if it is, let's say, nanomaterial, we have to talk about the nanomaterial, we have to talk about the method, we have to talk about the possible results. So the literature review is a lot. But for review paper, you focus. So you narrow down. So this one, this guy, he narrowed down on non-invasive diagnostic. So let's look at the paper. And again, of course, introduction is still needed. So in the introduction, again, he expand the abstract, okay, talking about the Y factor, what is actually the meaning of non-invasive, okay? Why we need to have non-invasive. And in the end, you can see that in this review, okay, he talks about what is actually in the review paper itself. Sort of expansion from the abstract, okay? Okay, right. Why is not moving? Okay, it's moving to the right, okay? Is this page 2? Okay, it's page 2. Okay, and then he talked about the device itself, an integrated device. Okay, it's a explanation what is actually integrated device, material of construction. Okay, okay, so he sort of tell the components in integrated device. You can see that. In case, okay, now he talk about the non-invasive sampling. Okay, what are the examples considering? Okay, Right. Okay, why it's not moving again? Okay, so he starts with sweat. Sweat is considered non-invasive. So you can see that he writes about research that has been done using sweat, and why sweat is one of the non-invasive material. Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, that means, okay, this is much easier. Okay, so you can see that pictures are very important. Give the readers good ideas on what is non-invasive diagnostic, as well as idea on diagnostic device. Okay, you can see this is integrated device, and this is for sweat analysis. So he's doing a review, means that the research has been done. So he's talking about what has been done by the people. Okay. And one thing that when you write a review, okay, of course, you tend to copy some of their words. So writing a review should not do that, because we should by right be using our own word. Yeah. But of course, a few sentences is fine. Okay, and another one is you can, of course, use the figures, the pictures from published results, but you have to ask for permission. Yeah, you can see here, reproduce with permission. Okay, so you have to email the publisher asking to, I would like to reproduce these figures from this journal for my review publication. Yeah, so you have to ask permission before you send for to be considered for publication. Okay, so this is very interesting. So you can see, okay, tears. So he's talking about the use of tears for non-invasive samples. Okay, saliva. Now he's talking about the device itself, how to do the non-invasive. Okay, so this one is, okay, this is again, previously it was for sweat. So now it's for tears. What are the devices that can be used for sampling tears? Okay, again, reproduce with permission. And this one is for oral fluid analysis, saliva. Okay, you can see that these are all devices, small devices. Okay, and below are the stories. Okay, they also urine. Urine also is considered. So you can see that this is an example, good example of how we can write review. So of course, in writing review, you have to decide first what is the scope that you want to write. And then usually, if you Google and then you find that the scope, there are so many papers, there are so many authors who has written review and on that particular scope, then it's actually not practical for you to write it, okay? Since it is going to be very competitive, and you might have similar information, and the editor of the journals might be not interested with your writing. So you have to do a homework, search for what kind of topic that is still available. to be returned as a review. Now, let's look at, all right. Okay. Working papers, okay. Just now it's review. So let's look at working papers. All right. So I hope that you can see this paper. So you please try to focus on the title first. Okay, this is not a review. This is working papers, means that the data from research work is carried out and published by their group. Yeah. So you can see toward continuous monitoring of breath biochemistry. A paper-based wearable sensor for real-time hydrogen peroxide measurement in simulated breath. Okay, so if you look at it, one thing is, of course, the keywords are very important. What do you want to highlight here? So for this guy, I'm sure that he wants to highlight is wearable sensor. It's not actually hydrogen peroxide. It's not really important for him to highlight the hydrogen peroxide detection measurement, but what he wants to highlight is actually the paper-based wearable sensor, because paper we know is cheap, okay? So it's cheap to be mass-produced. So if you can do a wearable sensor based on papers, it's going to be, it's actually very novel, and a lot of people will be interested. Again, it's condenser. For the last 2 years, I've been studying papers published by this researcher. It's very good. Eh? And then again, why wearable sensor? Because the target is to have continuous monitoring. Yeah? Continuous monitoring of breath biochemistry. So you can see that if you, because wearable is actually the trend now. Those devices, small devices, like for those who has diabetic, the glucose level. So you have these small devices, and then you have to prick your finger, and all that is no longer of interest to researchers, because they find it is quite common, because it's already in the market for quite some time. So people are looking for new technology. So if, for example, researchers or industrial partners, they look at, okay, a paper-based wearable sensor. Okay, this is something new. So you have to highlight what is new in your work. So let's look at the structure of the abstract. Again, you have introduction. Exhale breath contains a large amount of biochemical, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is introduction. So he mentioned about hydrogen peroxide, an important biomarker associated with asthma, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and lung cancer. All right, so now, and then he mentioned about the current method of breath analysis, means that this is a problem that he wants to counter, which is the issue of breath analysis involve bulky devices. Okay, so in his case, because he's engineering based, so he's talking about the devices issue. He's not talking about the chemistry, he's not talking about the biochemistry, but he's talking about the issue on the devices is big. So we report the first disposable paper-based. Okay, he mentioned the first disposable paper-based electrochemical wearable sensor. So you can see all the new things that he would like to highlight. Disposable, paper-based, wearable. So those words are the catchy words that he would like to rope people in. Yeah? So in real time means that the sensor can continuously monitor peroxide in real time. All right, so now this is the method. We perform differential electrochemical measurement by amperometry, blah, blah, blah. So this is in short, the methods that he used. And he actually didn't put figures and numbers. We were able to measure peroxide in simulated breath in a concentration dependent manner, blah, blah, blah. So this is the results. And then this is the conclusion. This proposed system is versatile, and by modifying the chemistry, our method of differential sensing can be extended to continuous monitoring of other analytes in exhaled breath. So in abstract, it's actually telling the whole story of what's inside the paper. Yeah. So if you have an interesting title, interesting abstract, so that gives the reader, or in this case, of course, the editor of the journal, interest, yeah, interested to read through your paper. So here, this is not a figure that is related to abstract, because most journal now requires for you to send what we call as graphical abstract. Okay, so this is abstract in written form. You should also be able, okay, you have to be able to supply graphical abstract. Graphical abstract is the same, the concept is similar. It should represent the whole idea of the write-up, the report that you want to publish, the whole idea. So the whole idea here is wearable sensor and paper-based. You can see that paper-based device, it is based on electrochemical technique, and this is what the results expected. And this is where the application will be. So by looking at this picture, graphical abstract, we can understand what is actually will be reported in this paper. So in introduction, of course, I love to write introduction because it's like telling a story, talk about the issue on peroxide, on respiratory diseases. Okay, it's nice, because you have read, and then you want to tell the story back. So it's quite easy. And then you mentioned about the current technique being used to analyze breath. Okay. So similar introduction should have in the end. Okay, starting from here. Okay, before it moves to methodology, usually in introduction, we should have this section. This article reports, blah, blah, low cost, okay, telling about the work that you have done, and the one that you want to report in this paper. Okay, this article reports a low cost, lightweight, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, until here. Okay, all right. So some of the journals, they have different way of format. Okay, you can see after the introduction, it straight away goes to results and discussion. And then let's move on. What's the format is. You can see that it does not have a proper method section. I don't think so. Or we miss it. No, we didn't miss it. But it's actually without any proper methodology section. So that depends on the journal. Okay. So I think what they did is they simplify the methods in here, in introduction. You can see it starts from here, and here the method section is included, but it's not detailed. So it goes straight away to result and discussion. So, and also the methods are also embedded here, the methods. You can see that the methods also embedded here. We place the paper-based sensor chip inside the wearable. So it can be difficult if you have to do this. The method section is embedded in result and discussion and introduction as well. Okay, all right, let's move quickly. You can find these papers online, ACS, but unfortunately, if you want this paper, you have to be a member of ACS, American Chemical Society. I'm not a member, but I requested from someone who is a member. All right. Okay. So you can have, you can read other, what do you call, open access journal. There's a lot of open access journal. So I'll be sharing another simple paper of mine. Okay. So they are Westerns. So their English are very good. They do not have any issue in playing with words. You can see that has been written very nice. So this is our example of my own. Okay, our work on TB. So you can see our title, because we wish to highlight aptamer. So that's why it actually took us some time to come up with a title. Okay, when we submit the reports to a journal, it is rejected. So we review it and then change the title. So when we highlight here, we highlight the keywords that we would like to highlight is the aptamer, apta sensor, because it's quite recent. And then we also highlight has been tested on real sample, not just lab-based samples. That's why we write sputum here. And then talk about the selectivity of the biomarker. Sorry, because my field is in sensor. That's why I'm giving example based on the sensor papers. Yeah. So again, in abstract, introduction. Okay. All right, and then in the talking about the experiment itself, what happened upon interaction with the aptamer will capture. Okay, this is using this strategy. The detection was conducted in constant. Okay, this is partly methods, and then partly methods as well as talking about the results. You have some figures here. Okay, main significant results only, right? Okay, and then we have introduction. So similar. So in the end, just like the previous paper in this study, we propose is telling what is actually being done from this work and what are we reporting for this paper. Okay, so for this paper, we have the material and method section. Okay, that depends on the journal itself. Okay. So we have to tell about just like thesis, talk about the materials, the chemicals, the instrumentation, and then some of the preparation. Of course, the difference between if we are writing for thesis, it has to be more comprehensive. But when we write in journal, we can reduce. Okay, we can minimize the detail. So, okay, figures, results, and discussion. Okay. Right. So conclusion. Yeah. So error bars. Don't forget about error bars. Okay. And sometimes because journals usually they have limited pages. You cannot have as many pages that you want to have. So, but let's say you really want to have that results to be together. Okay, you can put it in supplementary materials. Okay, so let's say you have extras. You have too many results or too many data, and you really want it to be together in the report, so you can put it in supplementary material. In this case, we have to write what are the author's contribution. And in Malaysia, it's very important to write the acknowledgement of stakeholders, the funders properly. If not, then I'll be in big trouble. Since we are using a biological sample, if we use blood, even sputum, we have to state the ethics approval that we have obtained. Okay. All right. Okay. So again, the best way to write scientific papers, including review papers or working papers, is through reading. So you have to do a lot of reading. Yeah, we have to do a lot of reading. Okay, right. Question.